Welcome to the Virtual CISO, where we break down the complex world of cybersecurity into candid conversations. I am your host, Olivia, and I'm thrilled to kick off season one with you. On this season of Securely Speaking, we will be breaking down security, one conversation at a time. Today, we are starting strong with the foundation of all security programs, security governance. And I promise you, this isn't a conversation about documents or frameworks. It's about how we create structure, accountability, and real world protection through smart and actionable governance. Having said that, have you heard of policies, frameworks, and the systems that actually make security real? Yes, they are not just paperwork. Whether you're building from scratch or refining your governance strategy, this episode is your roadmap to structure, accountability, and action. So, let's dive into it. Let me ask you this. Have you ever seen a beautifully written security policy, maybe 30 pages long, sitting somewhere in a folder untouched since it was created? Yeah, me too. Because here is the truth. Policies don't protect you, people do. And that is only when the policies make sense, are understood, and are actually followed. So, what is security governance? Security governance, at its core, is how security decisions get made and enforced. It is the framework of policies, roles, responsibilities, and processes that ensure your security program is aligned with business goals and risk tolerance. Let me paint a picture. Imagine an organization with no defined ownership over access controls, for example. Then an incident happens. No one knows who is responsible for what, and the responsibilities of the incident management team is not documented. Then the chaos begins. That is what weak governance look like. It's not just inefficient, it is very risky in today's world. Let's talk about where governance often goes wrong. There are a few common traps. The most obvious one is overly complex policies. I don't know a lot of people that take joy in reading through complex documentations. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you actually read the T&Cs before downloading an app? I guess the point I'm trying to make here is if no one understands your policies, no one will follow them. The second pitfall is lack of accountability. This is simple. If it's not clear who owns the process, it won't get done. There has to be a role or someone accountable to ensure that the policies are being followed. My third point is security versus business misalignment. When security becomes a blocker, people will always find a way around it. Humans are your weakest link, but it can also be your strongest defense with proper training, awareness, and a security-first culture. And the last pitfall I have here is checkbox compliance. Policies made for auditors, not for actual protection. You have companies that have actually taken the time to develop great security policies, but it's just for audit purposes. This is not a way to approach governance. I once worked with a team that had a password policy, requiring 15 character passwords with symbols, numbers, uppercase, lowercase, MFA, all the good stuff. You would agree that's perfect, right? Yes. But in practice, the systems were not configured based on the policy. Why? Because governance wasn't paired with usability. Governance isn't about control. It is about clarity and collaboration. I'll say that again. Governance isn't about control. It is about clarity and collaboration. How do we get governance right? Let's make it practical. Keep the policies simple and actionable. A one-pager that addresses the key requirements and is communicated to the relevant employees would beat a 30-page novel any day, anytime. Number two, assign clear roles. Know who owns what policy or process, be it user access management policy, incident response policy, or acceptable use policies. Make sure there are clear roles and they are defined. Also, use frameworks as guides and benchmark. You have NIST, you have ISO, you have CIS. Those are great starting points. Last but not the least, align with business goals. Speak the language of value, not just risk. For example, instead of you saying we need MFA to reduce attack vectors, say MFA reduces the likelihood of breach by 90%, protecting customers' trust and revenue. Both are correct, but the saying we need MFA to reduce attack vectors, that sentence will most likely be understood by a security personnel, not someone in HR or customer service. Language matters and should be tailored to the specific group. Governance is how you make security sustainable. That brings me to the next point, matrix. Now that you've made governance practical, it's time to define the matrix. You can't manage what you don't measure. So, you want to track the governance metric that actually matter. You want to understand the percentage of staff trained on security policies. You also want to understand the number of policy exceptions that are logged and addressed. You want to know the policy review frequency and if you're updating the policies based on real risk or you're just changing the date for audit compliance. I hope you're not doing that, please. Matrix is what turns governance from theory into action. They help you improve, justify budget, and show progress. So, to wrap things up, governance isn't about writing documents and calling it a day. It's about creating clarity, accountability, and adaptability in how you protect your organization. When people know what is expected of them, why it matters, and how to act, that is when policies become protection. Also, training is very important and should be tailored to your audience. On that note, thank you for joining me on this first episode of Securely Speaking. If you got value from this, share with a colleague or a team member and make sure you subscribe for more episodes. Next time, we are talking about third-party risk because even if your house is locked up tight, your vendors might be the open window. Until then, stay secure, stay sharp. I am your host, Olivia. See you soon.